大変長らくお待たせいたしました。それでは午後のプログラムに入らせていただきます。後半最初のプログラムはアジアイノベーションフォーラムヤングアントレプレナーアワード本選です。本プロジェクトはアジア初のイノベーションを担う人材育成をミッションとする NPO 法人アジアイノベーターズイニシアティブとグローバルな人材紹介を通じ世界のトップの大学とネットワークを有するフォースバレーコンシェルジュ株式会社が共催して実施いたします。アジア有数の大学、ビジネススクール、各国の大学の学生団体のネットワークと連携し、アジアの新進起業家と投資家をつなぐ大学発アントレプレナーのプラットフォームを作り、有望な技術やコンテンツを発掘、事業化に向けてプロデュースしていくことを目指しております。その一環として、アジアのトップクラスの大学から優れた事業プランを持つ学生を選抜し、本フォーラムを最終選考の場といたします。最優秀賞には主催者より1万ドルと副賞としてレノボジャパンよりノート PC3 台が授与されます。また、サムライインキュベート賞として5万ドル相当の出資、そしてレノボイノベーション賞として PC1 台が贈呈されることになっております。では、本選にあたりまして、アワードの主催者よりご挨拶を申し上げます。まず、NPO 法人アジアインベーダーズイニシアティブ理事長の出井伸之でございます。出井さん、お願いいたします。
皆様こんにちは。アジアのイノベーションフォーラムをやってから6回目になるんですけども、今年から NPO 法人になりました。でもイノベーションというのは常に若手からだけ出るものではないんですけども、やっぱりイノベーションは若手の人がどんどん考えてくるような仕組みというものがないとやっぱり世の中元気にならないと思うんですよね。それでこういうことをやりたいなと思っておりまして、また過去何回かそういうような小さな試みをやったこともあります。ただアワードみたいな格好になってないんですが、そこにいる平さんなんかも去年そういう学生たちと一緒にのセッションもやっていただいたりしたんですけども、今回はフォースバレーの柴崎さんと一緒にやれるということができましたので、非常に良かったと思います。でフォースバレーは4つの谷ですから四谷にあるんじゃないかなと僕は思うんですけど、ソニーの OB を作った会社としては私が一番気に入っている会社で、元気よく世界中を回って、いろんな人たちを日本に働いてもらったり、また、日本人を外に持っていくというような非常にいい仕事をしていただいている会社です。そういうようなこと賛同していただきまして、サムライインキュベーターとかレノボさんからサポートしていただいたこと大変ありがたいと思います。でこれはもう第1回目ですから、もうどんどん盛大にしていきたいというふうに思っております。で今日も午前中のセッションで長江小学院の、ではもうなんか世界の富としては16番目にぐらいその長江小学院の MBA の人たちっていうのは、大きな会社になったんだぞというふうにチャンビンさんという学院長が自慢しておりましたので、じゃあその海南島のアルムナイのミーティングに、こういう人たちと一緒に、やる場を作ってくれってきたらもちろんって言ってくれましたので、来年はどうか分かりませんけど1月ですので、そういう他の国のビジネスの、成功したビジネスマンとの交流みたいなのも、この会の延長でやっていけたらなというふうに思っております。簡単でございますけど、世界中から応募していただいたこと本当に感謝いたしますし、またファイナリストになった方、また、ダメだった中にも絶対光るものがあると思って私も読もうと思ったんですけど、こんな熱かったのでちょっとしておりますけども、ダメだったからダメっていうことじゃなくてですね、やっぱりこういうものってのはある意味の タイミングでもってすごくいいものもあるかもしれませんので、落ちたものもなお検討させていただきたいというふうに思います。簡単でございますけど、理事長の挨拶させていただきます。どうもありがとうございました。
出井さん、ありがとうございました。では続きまして、フォースバレーコンシェルジュ株式会社代表取締役 CEO でいらっしゃいます柴崎洋平様よりご挨拶を頂戴いたします。お願いいたします。
皆様はじめまして、こんにちは。フォースバレーコンシェルジュの柴崎です。出井さん、ありがとうございました。我々簡単に私の会社のご紹介、そして今回の話をする前に自己紹介ですが、私も10年間ソニーでお世話になりまして、非常に世界中飛び回らせていただきました。その時代、私がメインでやってたのは携帯電話のプロジェクトで、ノキア、モトローラ、サムソン、LG、ジーメンス、ベンキュー、TCL みたいな会社、毎週訪問して優秀な人材たくさん出会いまして、それが結局私が将来起業することになる、このフォースバレーを四谷で起こして、世界中の最優秀人材を日本に集めてみたいなということで、トップキャリアというブランディングで、まずは若手、新卒、第二新卒だったり20代の優秀な人材を世界から日本に集めてみようというビジネスを5年前に起こしました。今は非常に幸運なことに多くの日本のグローバル企業からお仕事をいただいておりまして、世界中の優秀な人材、特にアジアですね、から新卒中心に日本にかなり多くの学生を採用することに成功しております。で例えば中国でしたら北京大、清華大みたいな大学、インドでしたら AIT みたいな大学、そういうところをもう毎週弊社のスタッフが行脚して、そして採用のイベントやって、その最優秀人材を日本のグローバル企業のヘッドクォーターで採用するということをメインのビジネスにしているわけなんですが、とにかく世界中私も行脚している中で、優秀な学生、ビジネスポテンシャルの高い学生っていうのがこんなにいたものかと驚かされるもう毎日。そしてそういう人たちの国を越えた就職の支援、メインは日本へなんですけどというビジネスをやっている中で、この学生たち、この若い人たちに、要は今度は起業するイノベーティブなビジネスを起こすというチャンスを提供したいなということで、今回この AIFYA という新たなアワードコンテストを開かせていただきました。井出さんには本当に心から感謝しております。これをもう毎年続けていってですね、全世界、アジアを中心とした優秀な学生たちが起業を考えるときに、この日本のこの場をまずは狙ってくるというようなプラットフォームに持っていけたらなというふうに思っています。今回ですね、我々が普段リクルーティングビジネスで訪問している世界各国、アジアを中心に2、30カ国ですねの数百の大学でプロモーション、応募を受け付けました。そしたらですね、13カ国地域から237名の応募があったと。これは本当に驚きました。実は事務局で、皆さんで話したのが100人ぐらいは来ればすごくいいねという話をしていたんですが、237人、250人弱が応募してくれたということで、来年はこの数をもっと増やして、そしてここに呼べる人も少し増やして、そしてこれをもう少し大きな運動にしていけたらなというふうに思っています。では簡単に今回の登録応募者ですねのご説明をさせていただきたいと思います。今回のその237人、13カ国地域からの人ですが、いい具合にいろんな国から登録してくれました。そしてほとんどがもう各国のトップスクールからという形になっております。次お願いします。こっちでいきますか。はい。で、各国どういう大学から、皆さん応募してくれたかですが、一番左上にあるこのチャイナ、一番多かったのが北京大。その他もトップスクールばかり、香港も今回の最終ファイナリストもそうですけども、香港大、香港中文大、香港科学技術大というこのトップ3から、もうほとんどの人が来てくれたと。でインドですが、これ一番のトップ校の IIT デリー、他もう IIT だらけですね、という形、もう全世界のトップ大学の学生たち、若い人たちっていうのが、このファイナリストを目指して今回応募してくれたという非常にこの夢のある、コンテストになりました。その他、男女でいうと、今回は男性が非常に多かったですね。これは私としては少し意外で、 世界中リクルーティングビジネスで回ってますと、実は最終選考に残るのが圧倒的に今女性比率が高くなっています。もうちょっと男性増やせないのなんていうのをよく企業様から言われるんですが、今回は圧倒的に男性の方が多かったという形で、学部生だったり大学院生、現役の学生が圧倒的に多いという形、すでに今会社をもう起こしているかという意味では若干の人がすでにもう起こしているという形です。あとメジャー専攻に関してももうかなり幅広く、今回少しですね意外だったのは、もう少しコンピューターサイエンス IT 系から、特にインドを中心に応募が多いのかなと思ったのですが、むしろ他の学科の方が専攻の方が多かったという状況です。あとビジネスプランに関しても、こちらもですねソーシャル系ですとか IT 系が圧倒的に多くなるのかなという予想もあったんですが、予想とは違ってもいろんなジャンルから、自分の研究内容、専攻等も生かしながらいろんなジャンルからいろんなジャンルの応募があったという形です。あと国別にどんなビジネスプラン、どんなジャンルだったかっていうのももう本当に幅広く各国ごとにという形です。ここもですねインドがもう少し IT 系が来るかと思ったらヘルスケアというところが非常に多かったりということで、非常に興味深いデータになっております。こちらも一緒ですね。ソーシャル系がもっと多くなるかと思ったけど、そんなでもなかった。既存のいろんなビジネスをもっと良くする、そこにイノベーションを起こすというようなモデルも非常に多かったという形です。私の方からはこれ以上あまりお伝えすることないですが、実は昨日今回世界から4名、そして日本から2名、この6組が今日のファイナリストとしてこちらに来て、そして誰かがアワードを獲得していくわけなんですが、昨夜皆さんですね、世界から来た人たちは我々の会社の学生寮に泊まっております。で、うちの日本人の学生スタッフ等と一緒に、夜まで多分語ってたと思うんですが、とにかくですね、世界中から優秀な若者がですね、日本に来て、そしてこういう場を経て、素晴らしい会社を起こし、イノベーティブなビジネスモデルを持って世界もしくはアジアで大きく成長していく、そういうところのきっかけになる素晴らしいアワード、コンテストを今後も来年以降もきっちり続けていきたいと思いますし、我々はこの応募者というところをますます増やして、そしてますます優秀な学生にリーチしてここに上がってきてもらうということを継続していきたいと思います。今日はよろしくお願いします。
柴崎様、ありがとうございました。引き続きまして本アワードの選考委員でもいらっしゃいますバテルジャパン株式会社代表取締役社長のジェラルド・ハネ様にご講演を頂戴したいと存じます。それではどうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
First, thank you very much. Thank you to the Asia Innovators Forum, to GRIPS, and to Ide-san for the opportunity to participate again this year in the discussions. I was asked to discuss some of Battel's experiences with commercialization and ventures. And so I will just jump into this discussion so that I don't hold up the competition, which is the main reason we're here. Firstly, let me briefly introduce Battel for those who do not know the organization. And then I'll move on to some observations on new technology commercialization, ventures, and some of the lessons learned. So this is the Battel network to give a sense of the perspective of this organization. It's a nonprofit research and development laboratory in the US that manages 6 Department of Energy laboratories in addition to its own private lab, as well as one for the Department of Homeland Security. So the most important thing is that it's our R&D laboratory. It's not a manufacturing or profit-making organization. 23,000 staff, all doing work for research or in support of research, and an annual R&D volume of about $6.5 billion. So Battel was established in 1929, so a little over 80 years ago. And the mission of Battel has been to do research for the good of mankind. And as the research has been done, it's been done for clients that are trying to create new innovations or solve problems, or it's been done in support of innovations to spin them out into the market. So over that time, these are just a few examples of the kinds of innovations that have come out. developing the nuclear fuel for the first nuclear submarine in the Navy a long time ago, purely on a contract basis, but commercialized. The photocopy process that eventually was licensed to Xerox, that was more of a venture activity, which Battelle made a lot of money on. Piri I'll talk about later. That's also a venture activity, and there's some lessons to be learned from that. That was a Battelle Japan cooperation with NTT and Mitsubishi. Compact disc, Battelle did pioneering work in compact disc, but in this case, Battelle made no money. So again, as a research lab, it doesn't necessarily mean that you benefit monetarily from your work. It had a large social impact, but no revenue really for Battelle. They did pioneering work on the barcode. Recently, more work related to pharmaceutical development, although not drugs themselves, but for example, biomarkers in which the labs have decades of experience. And so now into energy and some of the genomic sciences. So in any case, this is simply to give an idea of kind of the history of Battelle's relationship with commercialization challenges and opportunities. And just one last slide for perspective. In the US, there's an award called the R&D 100 Award, and it's for the 100 most significant newly introduced R&D advances in multiple disciplines. So Battelle and its lab have won about 20 to 25% of these awards in the last 4 years. And this slide simply gives an example of the kinds of technologies. All of these technologies are commercialized, okay, from lab work, and they've gone into the market with an industrial partner. In some cases, the partner is something like a venture company that's licensed the technology. In other cases, it's a larger company that is commercializing the Battelle innovation. And so you can see it's diverse. We have solar innovations, new materials, catalysts, biological, life science research equipment, software, and this I'll talk about a little bit later. It's a bottle scanner for security at the airports, which has just been approved for use in Europe. But again, this is simply to give some background on Battelle's general activities with respect to innovation and venture innovation. One thing here I should point out is this rad release chemical decontamination technology, which is something developed by our Idaho National Lab. And it's a chemical that draws cesium out of concrete, which is one of the challenges up in the Fukushima area. Unfortunately, we still haven't had a chance to test this in Japan because our procedures here are quite difficult with new technology, but we're still trying. So let me now move to this topic of the path to sustainable business and lessons learned. And I don't want to be discouraging, but this is Battelle's experience in commercializing technology. And Battelle's experience is that this path to commercialization is actually quite difficult. And so there are a few, and over years, there are a few sort of common themes, the challenges that entrepreneurs talk about. Perhaps these aren't new for you. I'm simply introducing them in the context of Battelle. So the first is to know your market. For technologists, many assume that the market will be there if they have a great technology. And in many cases, they're very disappointed when the market is not there. That is a Battelle experience because we're a technology laboratory. Most tech-driven and IT companies have done very little, only vague market research and pricing comparisons. So they really don't know what the competition is, they don't know what they're trying to replace, and they don't know how much they're going to cost. So it's very hard to move a business forward that way. But I'd say at Battelle, with our strong technical staff, they're very weak on these kinds of questions. And as a result, it's difficult to know what the real business potential is of innovations coming from our laboratory. Related to this, but also I wanted to highlight separately, is to know the path to market. Because the path to market, the steps you have to go through, that's critical for your financing requirements, to understand your regulatory hurdles, and to understand the time to commercialization and therefore the financing required. Again, technical people, people on the technical side tend not to think about all the challenges ahead in the business side because they conceive of business as being simple. But as you know, it's simple in concept, very difficult to execute, and these hurdles in execution can often kill your company or substantially slow it down. we find this to be a very common experience from our innovators. And one thing that I think we're starting to see more opportunity for is the use of global markets to help facilitate the path to market. And I'll try to describe that through an example in a minute. Third bullet, locate near your customers and partners, because you have to sell. And for sales, you need a lot of interaction with somebody. So we find that it's best, the companies that do best are the companies that are near the ones they want to sell to, near the ones they want to co-develop with, or near the ones they want to sell their entire company to. And as you know, and as others can explain better than I, in very active venture environments, such as Silicon Valley, this acquisition cycle is very fast and very important to keep the vitality of the overall ecosystem. Okay, and so you, as a company, particularly a technology company, you want to be involved in that cycle. And I use technology very broadly. Okay, next is to seize your opportunities. And this is something we run into with both our technologists as well as entrepreneurs in Japan with a technical background. There's often a feeling that they can control the market and decide when to release things into the market. But ventures do not control the market. That's a very important point that they have to understand. They need to simply go with it. And it's a common mistake, second point, of technology, of managers to seek perfection in technology. Especially managers with large corporate backgrounds, they're used to having highly refined technologies developed before they release those things. When those managers with very strong large corporation experience come over to the venture side, they bring the same habits, but this habit is not a good one because it slows your company down and you may miss a window. And I think on this timing point, this lesson or legend of digital research, Seattle computing, and Microsoft is still very relevant. And perhaps some of our entrepreneurs are young enough, you don't know this story, which is very legendary among the older entrepreneurs. But very briefly, IBM first approached Bill Gates, apparently, because they were in search of a PC operating system. He referred them to digital research. But digital research was apparently fairly slow to respond to IBM's request, and so Gates turned to his friend in Seattle Computing and purchased an operating system, a very simple one, from Seattle Computing for $50,000, improved that, and then sold that operating system, basic operating system, to IBM to start DOS. It was QDOS that he bought, and he started DOS. He did that because at Digital Research, again, they didn't see the window. They were approached first by IBM, well, first in the sense of first for operating system. They were actually the first innovators of operating systems in the US, but they didn't seize that opportunity, and the entrepreneurs of digital research never really recovered well from that. So again, the digital research could have been the Microsoft if they have seized the window, but they missed that window, and so history is different. We see, missed windows do abound. In our own experience, we once wanted to approach Apple for a technology that was not in Apple's core, but something that we thought they could use as a peripheral. We had an innovator we were working with, and we got through a special contact, meetings with the senior most managers in the product development, relevant to our venture. But the venture president, who was a senior fellow, industrialist, thought it wasn't quite right for some time. The timing wasn't right, the technology wasn't perfect enough. Well, our window was set up through Steve Jobs' office. Steve Jobs then had some health issues right after that. The decision-making process in Apple changed very dramatically, and the window just closed. And so later, 6 months later, a year later, this entrepreneur wanted to come back and try to get back into Apple, but our contacts were closed, were gone. So again, seizing the opportunity, I think, when it arises is very important for ventures. Plus, you don't have a lot of money, so you need to move fast. Down here, planned finances, not for a rainy day, but for a rainy year. Patient financing has great value. And Batel's experience, everything takes 2 or 3 times longer than you think it takes, and therefore takes that much more money. So while you want to be ambitious and optimistic, the reality is it'll take you much longer, so plan for that. And then if you're a new entrepreneur, we think that seeking mentoring, as you can get through this kind of a forum, is very important. And I would just note, I just noted here that earlier this week I was in the Philippines, actually at an entrepreneur event. And two things. One is that the quality of the business plans were extremely high because the Philippines, there are a lot of Filipino Americans who are successful entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley, and they're now coming back to be mentors. And you can see that in very high quality coaching in terms of business plan development. Also, for this first entrepreneur event, the president of the Philippines came and gave a talk, which I've not experienced before at an entrepreneur conference. So it shows some change of priority, I think, in that country. Okay, let me, I have just a few minutes, so I'll go through these rather quickly in terms of Batel's experience and some cases. There are about 5 or 6 cases. So a venture experience at Batel. Invested $8 million, got back $2.5 billion in exit. So this was a very good venture experience. But there was a very long path to this success on a company that almost died many times. This is a company called Puri. It developed DWDM multiplexing for telecom. It was a joint venture set up in Silicon Valley by NTT, Mitsubishi, and Batel. But over a 10-year period, in fact, very little happened, and they were simply trying to improve the reliability to qualify as a telecom supplier. But then the internet kind of fever rose. They sold the company at the peak of the internet bubble, and hence they got a very big return for this. But in this time, the company was almost killed numerous times. And the only thing that kept it alive was strong leadership by the president of Mitsubishi, and then NTT's willingness to be a patient backer of this. But at the staff level, there were numerous attempts to kill this venture. So again, the patience in this case paid off. Knowing the market, one example, a fast PCR analysis. This is a technology that's now, it's been developed for a couple of decades, but it came out of the lab, one of our labs, the Lawrence Livermore lab. They were doing research on microchamber chemical reactor. They found that this would be ideal for DNA amplification. One of the Livermore scientists co-founded Cepheid, which is a molecular diagnostics company. And Cepheid, this was probably 20 years ago. And Cepheid today, publicly listed, is now at $2.3 billion in market cap as a diagnostics company. Okay. So again, they found, because this was a time when DNA sequencing was very much needed at a lower price. Solar, Solendra is not a Batel company, but my point here is that I wanted to make is that it's very critical to work with partners, we think, as you develop your venture, because you'll need them, or they're very valuable for your growth or in times of distress. And right now, as individuals, or organizations, including Batel, look at the solar industry, a big question, one of the big questions is how do you save a lot of these entrepreneurial companies? And partnering with bigger firms seems to be the one hope that we have. If you in terms of path to market, if you have a regulated product, very important to communicate with your regulators early. This is a millimeter wave technology. It was a holographic imaging technology initially developed to image nuclear reactors. Discussions with the Federal Aviation Administration started in the 1980s, but it took over 10 years before a startup was launched. Where is that? Here, down here, SafeView in 2002. It won an R&D 100 award, and it processes about 200 to 300 people per hour using a very non-ionizing, low-power millimeter wave system. So if you go to the airport, there are basically just 2 systems. One is X-ray, which is actually not good for you, and the other is millimeter wave, and this is the one that Batel had to develop. This was bought by L3, which is a multi-billion-dollar security company, in 2006. And if your local regulator is not cooperating, then we think one thing to do is look global. For reasons of regulation, industrial structure, or corporate acceptance. And let me see, this actually I have to click in, I guess. This is another security device, just by chance, not by choice, but this device scans bottles for hazardous substances. It uses an ultrasonic scanner and a radio frequency scanner, so it doesn't use lasers or Raman spectroscopy, which is another technique, but much more expensive. This has now recently been approved in Europe by the European Civil Aviation Conference because Europeans like wine and they like to carry their wine on board the plane. And right now they can't. With this device now, you put the bottle of wine in here, and it gets scanned, and if it scans clean, you can now bring your bottle of wine onto the airplane. Okay. So again, there's a higher priority for this in Europe, so we got this, the company got this approved first in Europe, and now is applying for approval in the US. Just a comment on timing. Sometimes you're before your time. So this is this is the very first video game, they think, which was just on something like an oscilloscope in the 1960s at Brookhaven, where he just did tennis for two to try to liven up the research lab, and it was just bouncing this ball back and forth. This algorithm, though, is sort of the basic one that started to lead to more sophisticated, simple games. The algorithm, though, was never patented. So, for pioneering the gaming industry, Brookhaven got nothing from that. So seizing the market on the other side is understanding when technologies have come down in cost enough with broad applicability to try to give that priority. And so this is an example of micropower impulse radar, which is an outgrowth of research on the fastest solid-state digitizer, done for some fusion research at the lab. But the radar, two key points are, one, it can penetrate plastic, wood, concrete, glass, ice, and mud, and it does so with very, very cheap points, $10 off-the-shelf costs and parts rather than $40,000. Okay, and from that, you can then create a variety of products, and they've had 11 licenses out of this technology, some of which are ventures, some of which are larger companies. Okay, so again, this is sort of this was a timing for that particular event. Then finally, the point: plan your financing very cautiously, because you want to prepare for the unexpected contingencies. You need a cushion from the shock, and again, it'll take most companies at least 2 or 3 times longer than they expect to achieve sustainability. Just this, by the way, is the Flexol Honeycomb Crash Cushion. This was designed by Battelle, and it was requested by NASCAR, which is a racing circuit in the U.S. It deforms and then bounces back to its original shape. The cushion absorbs 92% of the energy in a 100-mile-an-hour crash, and then it bounces right back to its original shape, and it can reduce G-force in drivers by 60%. Okay, so that's what is good to have for your company, except on the financing side. And then just one event to note that I'm participating in is this Japan-U.S. Council on Innovation and Entrepreneurship, which was requested by the U.S. Ambassador John Roos, who's from Silicon Valley himself, the head of the Wilson Sonsini, a law firm there, and METI. And the final report will come out next week. But the report doesn't necessarily, I think, provide any advice that will shock anyone, but it does show that after many years and thousands of initiatives, there's a lot that's been learned, but a lot that still needs to happen before a vital and venture environment is in place. And in the U.S. side, there's also questioning, because this is a U.S.-Japan report, there's also questioning about how this venture model fits the non-Silicon Valley U.S. communities, where there are still very few cases of strong success. Okay, thank you very much.
羽根様、ありがとうございました。さて、この後はいよいよ本選に残った6名の方々にプレゼンテーションを行っていただくわけなんですが、まずはここで本アワードの選考委員会の方々をご紹介させていただきたいと存じます。まずはじめに午前中ご登壇いただきました DCM 日本共同代表の伊佐山元様です。よろしくお願いいたします。続いてクオンタムリープ株式会社エグゼクティブパートナーの石井智宏様です。よろしくお願いいたします。続いて NPO 法人アジアイノベーターズイニシアティブ理事長出井伸之でございます。株式会社セールスフォースドットコムコーポレートディベロップメントシニアディレクターでいらっしゃいます倉林明様です。よろしくお願いいたします。ご挨拶を頂戴いたしましたフォースバレーコンシェルジュ株式会社代表取締役社長 CEO の柴崎洋平様です。あすかアセットマネジメント株式会社代表取締役の 谷谷守様です。よろしくお願いいたします。早稲田大学大学院ビジネススクール教授でいらっしゃいまして、グローバルベンチャーキャピタル株式会社会長の長谷川博和様です。よろしくお願いいたします。そしてたった今ご講演を頂戴いたしましたバテルジャパン株式会社代表取締役社長のジェラルド・ハネ様です。以上の皆様方が選考委員をお務めになっていらっしゃいます。ではこれから先の進行は選考委員でクオンタムリープ株式会社エグゼクティブパートナーの石井智宏様にお願いしたいと存じます。ではこちらでマイクをお渡ししますのでよろしくお願いいたします。
ありがとうございます。ここから英語でやらせていただきます。Thank you very much for the introductions. And now let us begin the final round of this first Young Entrepreneur Award 2012. So out of over 200 business plans, like this much of the business plan we had received, and I have to confess that we had very hard time to choose these last 6 candidates for today. But thanks for the judges here who had helped us to go through the first and the second round. I strongly believe that we had invited the very talented entrepreneurs today at this stage. So please feel the energy and also the passion of those entrepreneurs, and also enjoy the business plan, presentation of the business plan. So now let me introduce the 6 entrepreneurs who had just flown from their own countries today for this event. First, from Japan, Mr. Narito Suzuki, company name, Shaft, the powerful humanoid as a disaster response hero. He's from the University of Tokyo. Thank you. So from India, we have Mr. Naman Vijay. The company name is Jagriti Solar, and he's from the Indian Institute of Technology. So from Hong Kong, we have Mr. Leung Chun Yin. Sorry. The company name is Robust, the underwater robotics solutions. He's from the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. Then again, from Japan, we have another finalist, who is Mr. Keita Kido. Company name Yubireji. He's from the Keio University. And followed by, from Taiwan, Mr. Shin Kai Chu. His company is aiming for the apparatus for the continuous purification of household water by using a green power. He's from the Taiwan National Chang Kun University. Thank you. And the last but not least, the only lady applicant today, Ms. Margaret Wu from Hong Kong. Her company aims for the specific LED module based on the petal technology for large-scale LED backlighting. And she's from the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. So please give another loud applause for them, and wish for the good luck for the presentations. So these 6 young entrepreneurs will present their business plan from now on by the order I just introduced them. And before we begin, I just like to remind you the rule of this final round. Each presenter have 10 minutes of the presentations, and you will see the signboard saying like 5 minutes has passed, and you have 1 minute remaining, and your time is up. So to be fair with everybody, we would like to stop your presentation even though you have not finished your presentation. That's 10 minutes passing. And also, after finishing each presentations, the judges will have several questions, Q&A sessions, approximately about 8 minutes. Then when the whole presentation is done, the judges will gather the different room and choose for the winner for today. And the result will be announced at the reception. Okay, so why don't we start the first presenter, who is Mr. Narito Suzuki, company name Shaft. Please give a large applause.
皆さんこんにちは。株式会社こんにちは。株式会社シャフト取締役 CEO を務める鈴木成人と申します。本日はこのような素敵な場で僕たちの人型ロボットを世界に送り出していくんだという壮大な夢を皆様にご紹介できることをとても嬉しく思っています。さて皆さん、人型ロボットと聞いてどのようなことをイメージしていますか？古くから物語の中で語られてきた人型ロボット、もしかしたらまだまだ夢の話かと思っているかもしれません。しかし違うんです。僕たちは2015年この人型ロボットを初めて世の中に役に立つ、そんな場所に送り出していこうと思っています。2015年が私たちの販売の時期です。さて、どんなところで私たちのロボットは活躍できるのでしょうか。それがまさに3月11日、日本にとってとても悲しい出来事が起きた後の原発事故の場所になります。実は人型ロボットが最も活躍できる場所、それはこんな風にもともと人のために作られた場所であっても放射能や熱で入れなくなってしまった、そんな場所なんですね。もし人が入れたら階段を駆け上ってはしごをよじ登ってバルブを回して問題が解決できたかもしれないのに、人が行けなくなってしまったことでどうしようもなくなってしまった。そんな時に人の形をしたロボットが遠隔操縦できたら、そこにものすごい可能性があるんです。その可能性にかけるのがこの僕たちの自慢のチームです。技術を担うのが中西浦田の2人です。彼らはまさに世界をリードする世界最先端のロボット研究者で、自信を持って比類なき天才たちであると紹介することができます。彼らはもともと30年の歴史のあるロボットの研究室でドクターを取り、そしてその後助教を務めていましたが、今まさにロボットを実用化し人型ロボットを世に送り出していく時期だと、そう決意して助教の職を投げ打ってこの戦いを始めました。またビジネスも万全です。社外取締役を務める加藤はもともと上場会社であったり、また多くの技術系の企業の CEO 役員を務め、さらにもう一人の社外取締役の鎌田は IT 技術の黎明期に会社を起こし、それを上場企業まで成長させてきた実績があります。そして私鈴木は中西浦田と同じ研究室をマスターで出て、さらに全国に自分が作った NPO の全国展開を行ってきたという経験があり、そういったものを生かしながら噴火と最新ロボットの事業化を進めていきます。さて、私たちが取り組むマーケットですが、まず原発事故以降、日本でもすぐにロボットが対応できなきゃいけないということで、たくさんのロボットが配備されています。さらに2030年までには200もの原子力発電所が廃炉を迎え、それをすべて処理するためには約10兆の市場が誕生します。そしてもう一つ、私たちがこの市場が立ち上がると確信に至ったのが、アメリカの政府系の研究機関である DARPA がロボットの災害対応コンテストをやろうと宣言したことなんです。なぜかというと、インターネットや GPS、非常に大きなマーケットを掴んでいるそれらの技術の最初の実用化を出したのがこの DARPA という機関だからです。もちろん原発対応だけにとどまりません。例えばレスキュー、インフラ管理、そして警備など人型ロボットに相性の合うところは約4000億のマーケットに将来広がっていくとなっています。さらにそういったところが一番最初のキラーアプリケーションとして開くことで、どんどん人型ロボットの製造コストが下がり、家庭やオフィスに入っていく、そんな未来も夢ではありません。さて、原発対応に話を戻し、より具体的に我々が解決できる問題をご説明しましょう。これまで多くのロボットが福島の事故現場に行ってさまざまな活躍をしてきましたが、非常に大きな問題が上がったのが移動の問題なんです。やはりタイヤであったりキャタピラ型であったりするロボットは瓦礫を越えていくこと、それから階段の踊り場のような狭いところで回転をすることがなかなか難しかった。しかしもし人型ロボットがちゃんと安定して動くのであれば、そういうような移動の問題はこの2本の足でクリアすることができ、さらに2つの手があることで多くの作業ができます。まさに我々が作るロボットがそういうロボットなんです。ちょうど僕と同じぐらいのサイズの両手両足のあるロボット、価格は5000万から1億を想定していますが、このロボットがちゃんと動くことで大きな可能性が開くんです。しかし大きな問題、それは先ほど言ったように本当に安定して動くのかというところなんですね。ロボットが焦げてしまってはどうにもならないわけです。しかし我々にはもちろんそれを解決するだけの大きな強みがあります。今日はその中でもよりすぐりの3点を皆様にご紹介させてください。まず1つ目、 それはものすごい力を出せるということなんです。人型ロボットのこれまでの問題点、それは人の10分の1ぐらいしかこれまでは力を出すことができなかったんですね。もし僕らがいきなり10分の1の筋力になってしまったら、それこそ歩くことすらままならないのではないでしょうか。しかし我々の技術を使えば、このように 32.5 キロのダンベルもこう細い上でですね、しっかり持ち上げることができるんですね。そしてこの次、さらに驚愕するのが、この一つの足を使うだけで 62.5 キロの重りをこのようにぐっと持ち上げることができます。両足じゃないですよ、これは片足だけなんです。こんなことができてしまうんです。なぜこんなことができるのかといえば、その技術の秘訣はモーターに電気を送るその回路、そしてそのモーターを冷やすことができる技術です。ここに我々の秘訣が詰まっているんですが、実は大きな大企業が挑戦してもなかなかうまくいかなかったという噂も聞き、これはまさに我々の技術の根幹であり、知財化を進めているポイントでございます。さてもう一つ、見てください。ロボットが蹴ってもこけない。これだけの安定歩行性を僕たちの作るロボットの技術は持っているんです。実は原発対応というようなそういう事故現場で動くには、もしかしたらちょっとの弾みでロボットがこけてしまうかもしれないんですね。そういう不測の衝撃に対応できる、その非常に強烈な例としてロボットを蹴ってみてもこんな風に対応できる。なぜでしょうか。まずは先ほど言ったようなものすごいパワーがあることで、スッと足を移動させることができてしまうからです。そしてもう一つ、実は1秒間に17万ステップというものすごい速度の計算力で、ロボットが自分の足どこに配置したらいいかを考えています。そして最も安定したところにものすごいスピードで移動できるからこそ、このロボットは蹴られてもこけないだけの安定性を保持できるのです。そして最後、それは、すり合わせの技術です。なかなかこれまで2つと違って見えにくいんですが、実はこのすり合わせものすごい重要です。例えばガソリンを入れるときに、一般の車ではレギュラーのガソリンを入れなくちゃいけないけれども、よりパワーのある車であったら廃屋満タンでと頼まなければいけないと思うんですが、そんな風に機械を構成する要素は一つ一つものすごい相性というものが大事になってくるんです。ロボットといったらそれこそ数千数万点の部品が入ってきますので、その一つ一つに熟知していなければ作り上げることはできません。しかしそこでも我々は非常に強力な経験を持っています。こちら弊社 CEO の中西が研究していて一生懸命開発してきたロボットなんですが、普通の人型ロボットでは30ぐらいしか動く場所がないところを80にも動く、まさに世界一複雑な人型ロボットです。このような複雑な仕組みを作り上げるその経験はもとより、さらにこのようなロボットがもし問題を起こしてしまったとき、どこに問題があるのだろうと、そういうものをすぐに確認できるために、こんな風なコントロールパネルも用意されています。まさにこういった画面を見れば、いかに私たちが複雑なロボットを作り上げていく、すり上げていく、そのためのノウハウと経験を積み上げてきたかをご理解いただけるのではないでしょうか。次にスケジュールですね。私たちのロボット、2015年に発売ということを目指していますが、まさにそこでの発売を目指して、まずは一番最初一生懸命一時先進して開発しています。しかしまたそのタイミングで先ほど紹介したようなモーターを動かす技術、モーターを冷やす技術が要素技術として十分ありますので、その技術を生かして早期の収益化を図ります。まだファイナンスの面においては、実は今年の夏すでに第1回のラウンドを終えておりまして、そこで調達した資金を使ってまず最初のプロトタイプを作り、その次の調達、またどんどんロボットを安定化して、だんだんと市場が分かりやすくなってきたところで次の調達、最後に5年後を目指して IPO をすることでロボットの量産化を行い、人型ロボットが原発対応だけに限らないような非常に大きなマーケットを狙っていくことができます。さて、これまで私たちの取り組みをご紹介させていただきました。今世紀が終わる頃には人類の人口はおそらく100億に達するとも言われています。それだけの人口を支えるためのエネルギー、資源を確保するには、原発事故、原発対応だけで終わるようなものではなく、もっともっと危険なこと、なかなか人には任せられないようなことが待ち受けているに違いありません。そしてまた、先進国はどんな国でも少子高齢化による少子高齢化による労働力不足が問題になっています。そんな多くの問題を抱える21世紀、でもまさにここにその問題を解決する大事な糸口があるんです。人型ロボットと共に歩む素敵な未来に向けて、私たちは ヒーローを作っていきます。一生懸命頑張りますので、どうぞ皆さんご支援をいただければと思います。本日は素敵な機会をありがとうございました。
Thank you very much. So, any questions, comments from the judges, please? じゃあ、長谷川先生。
Thank you for your presentation. Very, very interesting. So, please tell me the most difficult point for final aspects. I mean, you are already getting the capital. You have already many technologies. So, what kind of the most difficult or negative point?
日本語で答えさせていただいてもよろしいでしょうか。ご質問ありがとうございます。非常にこれから先の難しいポイント、乗り越えていくのが難しいポイントはどこかというご質問をいただきましたが、まさにこれから先我々が取り組まなければいけないのはインテグレーション、すり合わせていくところのポイントだと思っています。実は先ほど紹介したようにかなり個別の要素、力強く歩む要素であったり、安定して歩行する技術ができていますので、これを原発対応というしっかりとしたアプリケーションの中に統合していくことが非常に重要になります。もちろん、原発対応というそういう極限状況を考えれば、ハンダ付けであったり、ロボットのその熱であったり、それから、水滴に対応するような技術もしっかりとつけていかなければならないんですが、もちろんそういった要素はすでに世の中にたくさんあるので、ちゃんと資金調達をして人材を集めてそれを乗り越えていくというのがこれから数年間の非常に大きなポイントになると考えております。
Thank you also for a great presentation, and congratulations on actually your excellent technical work. I feel like I'm at Patel. But I was trying to figure out your market, and because as I was watching your presentation, I was trying to imagine what the entry point to the market is and then how it expands. And Fukushima seems to be, for example, one entry point. But the other nuclear reactors you mentioned for decommissioning, actually, they probably don't need robots because you can do decommissioning on those 200 plants probably without a robot, or maybe you might need one, but because they're not disaster situations. So Fukushima, I understand, and I can see how it's valuable. So as you look beyond Fukushima, what is your market expansion plan? That $72 billion that you have Kei Sansho putting out there, what part of that are you actually targeting?
はい、先ほどの経産省の非常に大きな市場、2035年ですね、非常に大きな市場であったんですけれども、私たちが考えているのはその中でもレスキューであったり、メンテナインフラメンテナンスであったり、そういったその緊急用の対応におけるのが、同じく2035年ですが4000億の市場になるというふうな考えております。さらに私たちのロボットにおいてもちろん私たちのロボットはですね、人型ロボットとして開発していくんですけれども、さらにこの技術を生かすことで移動するということに非常に有利なポイントがありますので、例えば、大きな建設であったり造船の現場であったり、そういうロボットが移動しながら作業していくという場所において非常に大きな可能性、ポテンシャルを持っているんですね。まだまだそこはどんどん調べていかなくてはいけないところがあるんですが、そういったところにおいてもマーケットを作ることができて、非常に原発対応のみならずより向上的なお仕事のあるような場所に私たちの技術を拡大していくことができるのではないかというふうに考えております。
Thank you much. 伊佐山さん。
今日の先ほどの羽根さんの話もありましたように、多分これやるのってめちゃくちゃ時間もかかるし、想像している2倍か3倍時間がかかるのと、あとお金もかかるプロジェクトだと思うんですけれども、そういう意味でこれを本当に夢を実現するためには多分、会社の一番大事な一つの実は機能というのは技術的な当然向上もあるんですけど、お金集めになると思うんですね。でそうするとそれを考えるときに、お金集め、この後大きな資本が必要なときにどういうふうにそこの課題を、要するに今は日本の多分投資家でやってると思うんですけれども、そこはどうやってその、成長させるための資金を、取りに行くというふうに考えてますでしょうか。
はい、資金調達に関しましては、先ほど ご説明させていただいたように、まずは一番最初プロトタイプを作るということで最初の資金調達をさせていただいて、最初の資金調達を終わらせていただいたんですが、まさにご指摘いただいたように非常に大きな資金が必要になってくるところでございます。で、私たちが考えなければいけないのは、まず、そのような大きな資金調達をするにはやはり世界中のところから資金を調達して、世界中の、こういう夢に挑戦してくれる、夢にかけてくれるような投資家からですね、資金を集めなければいけないと思っておりまして、そういった意味でも私たちの会社がそういった資金調達に対応できるような体制づくりというのはしっかりとしていかなければならないと思っています。また同じようにですね、助成金等をさまざま可能性があるものがあると思いますので、そういったものも活用していきながら一生懸命ファイナンスをしていきたいというふうに考えております。
Any other questions? はい。
ありがとうございました。プレゼンテーション素晴らしかったです。今回の趣旨としてね、企業そのものを皆さんで評価していくというよりは、ここを支えたりこれからそういう企業を引っ張っていく若者ね、その中のベストのパーソンを選ぼうっていうのがあるんで、一つ教えてほしいのが、鈴木さん自身がこの会社で要はどんな役割を担って、そしてどんな差別化を起こしていけているのか、そして鈴木さん自身が今後どうしていきたいのかっていうのも教えていただけますか。
はい、そうですね、僕自身が現在どういうふうな頑張りをしているかということを手前味噌ながら紹介させてもらいますと、やはり僕のバックグラウンドというのは、一つは中西浦手と同じロボット、本当に30年の歴史のあるロボットで、コンピュータービジョン関係の研究ということで、ロボットの目に当たる部分ですね、ロボットの目に当たる部分を研究してきたんですけれども、まさに中西浦手の技術に関しては当然もう同じ釜の飯を食うがごとくに一緒にやってきたものですので、非常によく理解できます。当然また今回知財を作るということで特許文書とかを見ていくこともあったんですけれども、そういった中で最終的にその技術を知財化するというモチベーションを強く持っているのは僕の中ですので、僕が最終的な文章チェック等を一生懸命頑張って行っていましたし、またさらに先ほど少しご紹介させてもらったんですけれども、その昔中学時代に NPO を立ち上げてですね、それを全国に展開するということで本当にいろんな人の支えをもらいながらしてきたんですけれども、まさに夢を描いて、本当にもう中学の頃から僕はこの組織を全国にするんだ、全国展開するんだという夢を持っていたんですが、それを叶えてくることができた、さまざまな人の思いで叶えてくることができました。で、そういうようなこの事業を作るという経験を持っていて、まさにその、加藤や鎌田というですね、非常に経験豊富な先輩のアドバイスを聞きながら、そちらの気持ちも持っている。まさにその2つの両者の間となってお互いの強みを生かす、お互いが理解し合えないところをうまく、理解し合えるように頑張る、そういうですねこの会社の軸となるように頑張っていくというのが僕の仕事でありまして、また先ほど最後に説明させていただいたんですけれども、僕がなぜこんなことをやりたいかと思っているのは、どんどん人間は自由になっていってほしい、もっともっと創造的でやりがいのあって楽しい仕事をしていくためには、やっぱりロボットが辛い仕事、きつい仕事を担わなくちゃいけないと思うんです。できれば世界のすべての人口、世界100億もし人口が増えていくんだったら、そのすべての人がそういうような人生を享受できるようにしたい。そのためには今僕がここでロボットをやらなくちゃいけない。それが僕の思いです。
Thank you very much. So please give a large applause to Suzuki-san. Thank you very much. So we'd like to proceed to the second presentation today. From India, Mr. Nanan Vijay, please. The stage.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Naman Vijay, Vice President and Director of our initiative Jagriti Solar Private Limited and a student of IIT Delhi. As Mr. Nobuyuki Ide said, innovation is born out of necessity. India is one of the fastest developing nations in the world, yet 300 million of our citizens are without electricity. Over 1/3 of Indian rural villages, the heartbeat of our nation, are without electricity. This forced us to think of a solution to provide electricity to these people, and we arrived at the conclusion that solar energy is the way to go forward. We registered ourselves in April this year, and soon after, some of the biggest names in Indian renewable space came on board with us. This reinforced our belief that we were indeed on the right path. With a vision to address India's energy deficit by providing clean and sustainable energy solutions to everyone, we perform research and development aimed at making solar more affordable, provide project advisory services, sales of solar energy systems, and innovations like design tool, which will make solar more popular and more affordable to people. So the question is, why solar? Solar energy is a space where, due to the recent technological advancements, the cost is going down, while there's an unquestionable need for sustainable energy solutions for India as well as the rest of the world. India is also a country where solar energy is hugely undertapped. It is at a very nascent stage. To give an example, we do not have feed-in electricity till now. That is, the people cannot sell electricity back to the grid. Germany, after it allowed feed-in 2006, saw that the solar energy part of the production of electricity went up from 0.5% to 5.2%. This shows that India is at the cusp of an enormous boom in solar energy sector. The government of India realizes this need. It has experimentally allowed feed-in recently and is planning to launch it throughout the nation within the next 2 years. It has also targeted 20 gigawatt of grid-tied solar generation capacity within the next 10 years. It offers subsidies and tax rebates to promote solar energy. The geographical location of India dictates that the payback of commercial establishments comes within 3 to 4 years, and residential complexes comes within 6 to 7 years, making solar both financially viable and environmentally friendly. So till now, I've told you why solar is needed within the Indian masses, why it is the best form of energy amongst other alternate energy sources, and why we are committed towards solar energy as a business process. In our products, we provide grid-tied solar PV systems, off-grid solar PV systems, solar water heating systems, and solar lighting systems to cover the entire Indian market of village electrification, small domestic users, and commercial establishments. Now, let me provide you with the in-depth streams of our business. The design tool. It is an innovation that we have brought to the market. An online platform which makes the process of planning a solar system very easy and through a process of simple few clicks. It will popularize solar energy systems, as the layman would be able to customize his or her own system sitting at their home. This will open new avenues of sales for us. It will create new markets. It will give us a pan-India reach and will keep us one step ahead of our competitors when no one else in India have thought of this before. The design tool will also promote awareness with the solar energy systems in India and will thus create new market for us. Our research and development division. Our research and development division is headed by Dr. Murthy, Dr. Datta, and Dr. Balakrishna, who have been at the forefront of research in renewable energy and embedded systems for the past 2 decades. We have 2 major research focus areas. One is the net meter, which will be a 2-way meter for solar feed-in electricity. This product will have huge demand once the government allows feed-in electricity. The second one is a real-time monitoring system, which will provide the data of energy produced by a solar PV system and will be of low cost. Right now, there's a huge cost factor in such monitoring systems, and there's a huge demand from the customers that we got on feedback that for such a product, and thus we are working up on that. We are members of IBM's Partner World initiative, which will provide us stability to carry on our research for the next few years without any problems. Knowledge repository. India is a country where solar is not trusted till now. There are many misconceptions within people, as it is a new technology, not much in use. A very low portion of net energy is produced by solar. By forming a knowledge repository, we aim to remove those misconceptions. We aim to create awareness amongst the people. We aim to popularize solar and thus build a wider target base. At the same time, creating brand equity for us by generating debates and discussions amongst people on solar energy. And by building case-by-case databases, we'll also aim to establish this into a consultancy services going forward. Now, sir, let me tell you about our business processes, marketing of and our target audience. We have initially targeted the state of Rajasthan. Rajasthan is the state with abundant sunshine, as well as a low penetration by the existing solar companies. It is Amongst Rajasthan, we have targeted the small enterprises and the residential complexes with the target base of 1 to 30 kilowatt, where the existing companies do not focus much. This gives us a hold within these small domestic and commercial houses, and we plan that our brand will be built up amongst these people, which will give us a huge first comes advantage on the bigger companies. India is also a country where mouth-to-mouth publicity works a lot. People do not trust advertisements. People always ask before purchasing systems. Thus, we have a local sales team in place, and the fact that we come from a premier technological institute advising on technological innovations like solar energy and the recent innovations in solar space give us a huge advantage when people are going to buy systems. We have also collaborated with some of the major players in solar energy space to provide value services to our customers and give them a complete satisfaction. Our brand is very important to us. Online marketing, social networking are some of the tools that we employ and which are not much used by the other solar players in India. Supply chain. We have a pool of installers who are ready to provide who are ready to install systems in our customers' homes and complexes, and we leave no gaps in technological processes since these installers are certified by the government. We emphasize on customer satisfaction as we realize that customer is everything in our business. And thus, we are always in touch with the customer during installation, and after service installation services are also there for each customer. We keep them updated with recent innovations and developments so that they can derive maximum benefit out of their solar system. When it comes to the revenue model, we have a MOU with one of the government certified channel partners, which gives us a fixed percentage in each project installed, helping us generate revenue, and we direct this revenue towards other streams of our business, like research and development activities, to take care of the operation part. We are also exploring other alternative revenue sources like listing rights on design tool, which will help us generate more revenue and have a wider reach to the market. Customer is everything to us. We have a good understanding with the customers by employing local sales team, and we are always in touch with the customers throughout our entire sales system. We believe in establishing a collaboration and surpass the one-time installation and routine maintenance. Through our dedicated business processes, we aim at creating a brand that is trusted in the next 5 years and becomes a leading player within the solar space and is able to surpass the other existing solar systems when it comes to a target base of 1 to 30 kilowatt that we have identified as our target audience. I would like to thank you now and finish with the presentation.
Thank you very much. Okay, question from judges. Hasegawa sensei.
Thank you very much for your kind presentation. So you mentioned your competitive advantage. So you say the knowledge repository knowledge is important. So why don't you share with us about the technology side advantage? For example, what your kind of the facility or what kind of the using the technology of the solar systems? Please share me.
So thank you for the question. And sir, knowledge is something where there are many misconceptions within the people when it comes to solar energy. I've seen cases where people think that if they install a solar system on their roof, they won't be able to go on the roof after that. So we give a detailed analysis of all the things that one has to keep in mind and what all a solar system requires, how the maintenance is done, and in terms of technical specifications, since we work only with government certified partners, we are able to give them certified products, and a warranty is there of 20 years like on solar panels, and 3 years on the battery, which gives the customer satisfaction that whatever he is getting installed will pay him back as per mentioned earlier.
Thank you. So you said already you decided to the facilities, using the facilities. You decided already.
So we analyze depending on the customer. On each customer, we have a project site visit, and the engineer stays at the place for one day. They analyze each, like what is the load, how much is the roof area, and everything. And then based on that, we give a customized solution to the customer. So it's different for each customer.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you also for an excellent presentation. I have to ask two questions, and they're not so related. But the first one, to follow up on Professor Hasegawa's question, one key technology you have is this design tool. But I'm wondering if you've compared that tool to other tools to show how yours is better than others. That's one thing, sort of comparison of if that's one of your key points of competitive advantage, how does it compare with others? Second question is, in this market you've identified that you just discussed with Professor Hasegawa, the 1 to 30 kilowatt range. So let's say, what do you expect the cost of delivered electricity to be, the kilowatt hour cost, compared to diesel generation in the same use, off-grid or on-grid?
So thank you for both the questions. So on the second question, in terms of prices of these system, when compared to diesel systems, these are extremely useful, as diesel is becoming very expensive recently. And as I mentioned, there's a 3 to 4 year payback period for commercial establishments which generally use diesel. And for domestic which do not use diesel, there's a 6 to 7 year payback period. So that makes them very financially viable. And in terms, if I talk about dollars, there is a $3,000 for 1 kilowatt, which comes a price for a system. We take the entire money upfront and then work. So the first question, can you?
The first question was comparing your technology.
Yes.
With others.
So actually, right now in India, there's no other tool which gives customized solutions to the customers. So this is the first tool that we are working on. And yes, there are other tools in, say, United States, but they are entirely different since the geographical and geographical locations as well as regulatory and laws change. So they cannot be actually compared with our tools.
Thank you, Anderson. Any other question, comment from the judge? Isayama-san, thank you.
Actually, a little bit addition to his second question. Obviously, in a lot of world, we've seen, there was a big solar boom, but obviously it was heavily driven by, government subsidy and, and all the merits of clean technology and whatnot. But the reality is, people also notice that, again, you mentioned that diesel, and it sounds like India is getting expensive, so the ROI comparison is coming close, which incent people to go solar. But is there a heavy government initiative to drive solar, or like subsidies that you see would drive even more adoption, such that, I understand 3-year payback and 6-year payback is getting close, but still, if I was a poor consumer in India, I would still go to diesel because it's just cheaper, right? Do you see any external environment, like forces, that would help your business grow faster? Or is it such that if government stops the subsidy, is your business going to be in trouble, like some other countries in Europe? What is your view in the market?
So government does provide subsidy. There's a 30% subsidy on systems. So it is not dependent on the government subsidy at all, because as it happens in most cases, we do not even wait for the government subsidy to come in. We process the system first and then wait for the regulatory approvals. So the price point that we have of our systems is higher than the cost price that we have. So firstly, we are not dependent on government subsidies. Secondly, in terms of whether there are external forces which say popularize solar or which promote solar, yes, there's a huge government initiative towards solar. In both Rajasthan, the state we are working in, and the nearby state of Gujarat, there's government initiative, and all the government projects they are generally adopting solar. Government has aimed at 20 gigawatt of solar generation capacity within the next 10 years. There's a Jawaharlal Nehru solar mission which aims at promoting solar and making its use more viable. So the environment is generally turning towards solar, and diesel prices are increasing, plus the grid prices themselves are increasing heavily. Also, with even there was a recent grid failure in the entire North India, where 600 million people were affected within one day. So people are not the trust of people towards alternative sources of energy is increasing. That is why our knowledge repository and design tool components become much more valuable, because the knowledge repository is aimed at creating that awareness, generating those debates that gets people to believe on these energy systems. I understand it is difficult to convince a person if at one instant of time he has to pay more for a solar energy system and less for a diesel energy system. But these debates and discussion, they educate people on the fact that within the next 3 or 4 years, diesel generators will become financially unviable due to the extremely high cost of diesel. So rather than investing something in them right now and regretting 4 years later, the knowledge repository part plays the fact that it is much more viable to go for solar right now.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please give a large applause to Mr. Naman. Thank you. So let us follow with the third applicant, Mr. Leung Chun Yin from Hong Kong. Please be on the stage.
Testing. Konnichiwa. My name is Eric. That is almost all the Japanese I know. Yeah, and first of all, thank you for the chance for giving me to present my business idea about the underwater robotics. So, ocean is beautiful. Actually, people think that it's a life pace of Earth. And let's see some fact about it. 70% of our Earth is covered by ocean. However, we just met only 3% of it. It's quite sadly to say that we know much more about the moon surface than we know about our Earth. So why ocean is so difficult to, it's so mysterious, it's so difficult to explore? Because when we're sending a human divers getting into the ocean, he is taking risk at high pressure and unknown dangerous. Starting from 80th centuries, we human beings start to use underwater robotics to help us to explore the ocean. And these robots are called remotely operated vehicle, which AKA ROV. And through years of development, we have different classes. However, our multi-discipline teams, when we're doing the research in market, we found that most intermediate-sized ROV is single-purpose ROV. What means single-purpose? It means that these ROVs can just only perform 1 to 2 specific tasks. If you want it to perform different tasks, sorry, you need to buy another one. And our team thinks that is quite ridiculous, so we ask ourselves a question. Can we have a general-purpose ROV, like a general-purpose computer? The concept is like that. Like a computer, firstly, we have the mainframe. The mainframe consists of the basic control stuff. For the ROV, is the control units, thruster control. If we want the computer to print, we add a printer to it. If we want it to scan, we add a scanner. If we want to input, we add keyboards. The ROV has the same function like this. We have different modules. And if you want the ROV to take videos underwater, add the cameras. If you want to collect sample, add the sample collectors. All this must be plug and play very easily, and users can just plug in, can be used. And finally, like the computer, we have a customized product fitting for users' needs as according to time by time. And our ROV also, if they want to perform different tasks, all what they need is just changing the modules. And what we call it is one main design for multiple scenarios. Our team put this concept into reality, and we have developed our standard modular-based underwater solutions, which names Gear. This one is an intermediate machines, and it can carry maximum 50 sensors and maximum 15 payload tubes to underwater. So it can cover most of the customer's needs, as it is easily plug and play. So customer, what they need is that plug in the modules they need and then bring it to the water, that's all. However, back to the computer stuff. Even for the computer, we have different kinds of notebook. We have netbooks, we have ultrabooks. We're thinking about that maybe some customers will need RV, which is a small size because they need to investigate in very small and narrow places. So we developed another platform. It's a small size underwater investigation system. All the modules of this system is interchangeable with Gear. The size is reduced by 50% and the speed has been doubled. Although it can only carry about maximum 5 payload tubes, but still it can perform good in very narrow space and small sized area. Our team is pursued limits. What we're doing is a modularized robotics system. And modularized means it's flexible. And then our team asks ourselves, we take reference for the most flexible things in the world, our hands. Can our robot adding our hands together? Ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you our latest development, Poseidon, the humanoid underwater working solution. Like the finalist once saying that humanoid is the future of the robots, we have already decided it. This robot consists of the full size of the humanoid robot, and it can work in underwater. The drivers will need to wear a telemetry suit, and all the motions will be mimicked. And with a 3D goggles, the driver will have the first personal visions from the robot. So the robots will act as a surrogate system to the divers. So now the divers no longer need to get into the water to work in dangerous. The robot will do it. We know that for engineering projects, most of it, the first priority is stability and safety. We have over 200 hours underwater tests and pressure tests, and we have unique fail-safe system, safety protocol. We take reference from the ISO. You can see this is a picture we are testing in the NASA Neutral Buoyancy Lab. Also, with high modularizations, our system can be used in different types of criteria, like research, investigation, security, and maintenance. When we're doing our exhibitions, there are many interested parties. They are willing to use our system as a test, like Hong Kong government, Hong Kong police, the Agriculture, Fisheries, and Conservation Department, and some international engineering organizations like Jardine Engineering Corporations. We also got limits of awards and recognitions from the engineering, like NASA. What they saying that our machine is incorporate artistic simplicity and functionality into one's pursuit. This is really a high honor. With this honor, our team is managed by Professor Tim, and he is our robotics team supervisor, and is also the Global and Community Engagement Program Director, and have rich experience in robotics and automations. And our team is also a multidisciplinary and multinational teams. So different cultures and ideas will cooperate together and form new ideas and unique solutions. To implement our plans, first of all, for the first 2 years, we will do the Asian market penetrations to let Asian markets to use much more our system, and we will plan to start our international expansions at the year of 5. With the help of Asia, because we created all the resources from Asia, we can have very cost efficiency manufacturing costs. We can have very good raw materials. Our cost is decreasing. You can see it's just 1/3 compared to the others. And as according to the Douglas Westwood World RV report, our market size is increasing in the future years. So this is a golden opportunity for us to investigate in this market. And we will set our company in Hong Kong, which is the center of Asia. And also with the help of the Hong Kong government, there are numerous of plans supporting innovation technology. Robotics are clarified as one of it, and there is so many plans to help us to do it, and we will plan to do it in the Hong Kong Science and Technology Park. We are not just caring about money. All what we do is that we don't want to see any diver injuries in the future. We want to reduce loss when there is a disaster or accident happens, and we want to have a way to export ocean in much more safe and efficiency way. So, our team slogan is that be creative, be flexible, be efficient, and that is robust underwater robotic solutions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I'd like to proceed for the judges' questions. Kurabayashi-san.
So thanks for your presentation. So I'm not that familiar with underwater investigation. So my question is regarding market. So what drives the market growth? So why we need to investigate underwater, and why is it growing?
Okay. As according to the report in the Douglas Westwood, it clarifies very much about why the market is growing. Because what we are doing, technology is helping people to save lives and also reduce injuries. So using robots to explore oceans is one of the growth, the reason of the growth. And also, even though we are not exploring the oceans, there are many treatment plants and also many industrial will need to have big pools and also have water treatments. These kind of chemical treatments are not so good for our humans, even though they wear chemical suits to get into maybe doing maintenance is really dangerous. So these are one of the growth to using it to do so. So this is why the market is growing and growing, and because most likely the remote operated vehicles is nowadays becomes hotter and hotter in the American and North American states in Western countries, but in Asia it's still in an initial point. So the report showing that there is a huge amount of potentials in the market.
Do you have a rough image of market size, like 1 billion, or can you assess that?
If I not remember one, the report saying that the market size will be over 3 billion in the future. Yeah.
Thanks.
Hane-san, please.
Thank you for the presentation also. It was very interesting. Just to follow up on this question of market, can you name 3 organizations that are your top 3 to sell to?
Top 3?
Top 3 customers.
Oh, top 3 customers.
For the future, not for now. But
I think I will set it into different stages. For the startup stages, what we're doing is the government contracts, because it will help us to set up our publicities and also our goodwills of our company. And also you can see that there is some interested parties like Jardine Engineering Cooperation. So we will do it. These are also one of our potential customers because they're already saying that they are interested to use it. And also what the others will be. We are selling different modules, just like this one. We have been just like we are selling different modules to the makers and also to the different research facilities. So even though they do not need to have a very a complete machine, they need to use underwater arms or robotic industry. So we can sell modules to it. So this is our potential customers to do so.
Okay. And if I can follow up then, in your comparison with other technology, you mentioned that yours is multi-purpose, others are single-purpose.
Yes.
So is it correct? Do you see any other technology that is comparable to your sort of robot with arms under the ocean, I guess is the best way I can think of it. Because most, Battelle also does underwater exploration, but I don't believe we have, for example, an underwater robot. On the other hand, I'm surprised if nobody else has an underwater robot. So are you saying there's no other underwater robot?
There are different kinds of underwater robots, just like what we are planning to do is the intermediate size of underwater robots is mostly the size of this size. And this size, when we're doing the market research, we find that it's single purpose. And most likely they are just having a 2 to 3 degree of freedom arms to do so. And what we are doing in our humanoid projects, we do it to add much more degree of freedom so that the hand is much more flexible and adding the senses to the human. So it can sense what the human do, you can do so. So we are actually a kind of system integrations to bring, it's not a new technology for the sensing of human bodies, but we bring it to the underwater robotics. It's a kind of new system integrations.
Any other questions? I have one question. You said that the competitor, possible competitors, they are the single purpose robot and you are the multi-purpose. If they try to catch up with your like a module type, more flat type of the construction, how far you can be ahead of them?
Yes, this is one of the concerns when we're doing our business plan. Because if there is a competitor doing also the modular base, but after that we found that it will be a very interesting market. Because once we're doing modular based underwater robotism, it means that all the system is open. It's an open source. It's an open source project. So actually, even though it can be seen like this way. Our system can be used in the competitors, and the competitors' modules can be used back to ours. So I think it's a mutual benefit from these companies, and we will cause it to a win-win situation. The customers will have different choices, but I do believe that when we're doing be the first to get into this market, we will also get some market shares. And then for the latecomers, they will do different kinds of modules, and then it will make the modularized ROV market become more perfect and also become much more customer will love to use to this one.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Please give applause to Eric. Thank you very much. So now we'd like to have a 20 minutes break before proceeding to another business plan. So we're going to restart at the 4 p.m. at this same place. Thank you.